Day 16 Career Boost initiative by the Instride Pathways Youth Foundation continues with the lecture on cybersecurity by Mr. Daniel, while we have 3 expert speakers share insights on the respective topics on SDGs. The sessions were anchored by our moderator.
You're highly welcome to today's program. Today is day 16. Wow. If you are here, I want to say you have tried. Yeah, I'm giving you a thumbs up. Today is day 16 and it's been a very wonderful session from the beginning. Welcome once again. Alright, my name is Febishola Hadibule and I will be the one moderating the session for today.
Now let's dive into the lectures.
Good day everyone, welcome back to the cybersecurity course provided by Instride Pathways Youth Foundation. My name is Daniel, your host, and for this course, Introduction to Cybersecurity, and we are going to talk about access control and authentication today. Now, for you to understand what access control is, you first need to get to understand what access control is in computer systems. You need to understand what access control is in real life. Or access control is just trying to control, okay, who enters this place, who enters a room, who enters the house. There are certain people that enter the White House, Blue House. There are certain people that enter some places in governmental organizations. There, even in terrorist organizations, there's some places people enter. Maybe the leader of a group can enter that place, and only a few people can also enter, while others cannot enter. That is just trying to show you about control for the access of the place. Now, access control in security is a technique that regulates whatever or whoever, who or what can view, use, or interact with a resource, with a computer, with a file, with any kind of resource in a computing environment. The purpose for this is just to make sure to ensure that only authorized personnel or individuals have access to that resource and the files. Okay, we're done. Now let's look at access control in as a topic. All right, now the objective for this section is to introduce you to the concept of access control and authentication, highlighting the importance in cybersecurity. By the end of this session, you should be able to understand the different types of access control methods and authentication mechanisms. You will also gain practical experience in creating and managing user accounts and implementing access controls on your Kali Linux virtual machine. Alright, we are going to look at 6 things today, 6 subtopics. Firstly, access control, which I've covered a bit, principles of access control, the access control models, and then the access method and password security. And we are going to brush through the practicals. Now, what is access control? Access control is a security technique, as I've said before, that regulates who or what can enter, can view, can interact with an object that is related to computer, with a resource that is related to computer, with anything that is related to computer. This is, as the name says, access control, controlling the access. So now I've already told you the purpose of access control is to make sure that unauthorized users do not get close to the information, the data, so that you mitigate you stop any kind of data breaches. All right. Think of access control as just having a keycard system in an office. Only those who have that key card can enter, and even in the key card, in some companies, only those who are in the IT department can enter the server room. So only those with the correct key cards authorization can enter certain rooms, of course. Now, what are the principles of access control? We have one, separation of duties. We have need to know basis, and we also have least privilege. I'm going to start from least privilege to go to need to know and separation of duties. All right, good, let's get into it. For least privilege, this is when users are given just a teeny amount of necessary information to perform their own tasks, just the minimum level of access. So if a user only needs to read files, he will be able to only read files, not write. As you saw in one of our practical, I opened ls space -l, and we looked at the permissions. We did not see the D, which is the directory. We also did not see we saw read write for Kali. We did not see write for the other Kali. We did not see write for other users or groups. Right, this is least privilege. It's just giving you that least minimum access, except you have the permission to modify them. All right, now for need to know, you have heard of need to know basis, right? Some people have, okay, this is a need to know basis stuff. In intelligence, people use need to know basis protocols or pseudo protocols. The access here should be granted based on the user's needs to know specific information to perform their job, and sometimes after they perform their job, their permission is downgraded. Just know for access control is just trying to manage the permission for information. Know all the information is in that database, of course. Let's just say now your BVN information, if you have a BVN, your BVN information is in the some databases in Nigerian government, right? But then there are a few people that can access it. There are a few people that need to know that information. Not everyone in the federal government, let's just say, need that. Not everyone in CBN will know your BVN, so they have least privilege. Almost everyone who use access control, whether physical security or cyber security or any kind of security in between them, they use these three principles of access control. Now, for example, now we're still on need to know principle. In a school setting, students shouldn't have access to teachers' administrative records. They should not have access to other students' report cards and records. Alright, now for separation of duties, let me just give an example. For a bank now, one person authorizes the transaction while the other processes it, which means that the information needed for authorizing the transaction is only given for that person who authorized the transaction. He's not given that information is not given to that person who processes it. Only the information that to process it is given to that bank employee only. Now, for critical tasks that are divided among multiple users to reduce the risks of misuse of information, this is separation of duty. You separate the duty for great purpose. Now, what is I'm still on access control. we are talking about discretionary access control. This is a place, a situation in which the owner of a resource determines who has access to it and what permissions they have: the read, the write, and execute. On Linux, you will see R, W, and X. Alright, for an example, in a shared folder on a computer, the owner decides which users can access it and what they can do. Some of you might know about Drive, Google Drive, or any kind of drive, or maybe Microsoft OneDrive, or Mega, or any of the storage applications you use, online storage applications you use. You can give ownership, you can give permissions, you can do access control yourself using your phone for some information, for some data. Now we are going into mandatory access control, in which access rights are based on regulations established by a central authority, not the owner. You see this now, not the owner. Let's see, the owner of the company doesn't have some authority, or shall I say, the owner of the company is not the one that has that that regulation, but it has a certain authority, it has some certain regulations that have been put in place. Okay, let's see, the head of IT department will have access to read, write, and execute, while the owner will have access to read and write, but he can also have access to execute when asked. This is also for protection for the owner, because he might be under duress. When I mean under duress, he might be under gunpoint, or he might be under pressure, external pressure, to leak that information. But if he doesn't have that access to that information, he cannot do anything about it. He can just ask, and the moment he asks, someone will know that, okay, something is wrong. Why is the boss asking me for this kind of information when he's not supposed to ask for this kind of information? So they'll probably start investigating. Now the system classifies resources, which is files. Example can be file, and then the users into different categories like confidential, secret, top secret, to enforce this kind of access control, which is mandatory access control. This is used in military kind of setting, in a government, secured government settings, just when it comes to intelligence setting, or when it comes to military, yes, when it comes to security settings, official security settings, even unofficial security settings, this still happens. Let's say in a militia right now, the top of the intel department will have information to that top secret, the most top secret information, while the people who are the normal soldiers, the normal troops who go on patrol, do not have that kind of information. All right, an example, as I've already given, military organizations, where documents are classified and access depends on the user's clearance level. There's something called TSC, right, which is top secret clearance. Yeah, top secret clearance in United States military. Now some of you might have heard about this RBAC, role-based access control. This is where access is granted based on the user's specific role within an organization. Now each role has a specific permission, and users are assigned roles rather than individual permissions, so they will group them together. Let me give you an example here. In a school system, students, teachers, administrators have different levels of access to information systems, so they are being grouped. Okay, student for this class, when I'm in this class, student for this grade, senior secondary school 1, will have access to this setting of information. students for this grade will have access to this certain kind of information. Prefects with this kind, they will have this kind of access to this kind of information. Teachers, tutors, the medical staff will have this amount of information or this certain level of information. The principal, the vice principal, the principal, vice principal, the owner of the school will have different. So each role has been specified with permissions. Users are assigned roles instead of individual permission. It's quite easy to do this because it's organized. Okay, now what is authentication? Authentication, we talked about authentication earlier in the first of the series, is the process of verifying a user's identity before granting access to a system or resource. Now, a question before we leave: what is access control? A question for you, I'm throwing it out now. Which of these three is the best way for access control? Is it dark or mark or reback? And then give me the type of setting that is best for it. Please put it on the comment box. Okay, now we have factors of authentication: something you know, something you have, and something you are. Now, if something you know is your password or your PIN for authentication, something you have is the physical drive, like a security token or a smartphone that you need to protect for that authentication. Now is something you are. Sorry, that was a mistake. Not something you want to protect, but something that can open. That is something you have, a physical device, right? A token or dongle, specialized U-key, yeah, something like a specialized U-key security token, or something like a specialized cryptocurrency token. Now, something you are is biometric, right? Which is any type of your biometric data, from facial recognition, iris scan, your DNA, and others, right? Now, what is multi-factor authentication? This is a type of authentication in which it uses two or more. Note, it's not just two. Some types of authentication will ask you to use 5, 3, 4, 6, 7 types of authentication methods before you are given access, and these are all under extreme circumstances when it comes to security. Yes, of course, the user itself, to verify a user identity, they need to have enhanced security, so for 2 or more. So for normal people, you can use 2. Some people use 3 for methods or authentication factors. Now, for example, if you log in, if a login detail requires a password and a code sent to a user's phone, then that is an MFA. Now, have you ever used another question for you: have you ever used an MFA for any of your online accounts? If you haven't, then you are missing the benefits of adding this layer of security to your devices. If you have not used an MFA for yourself, for your organization, then you are losing benefits. You are losing many benefits, right? For an added layer of security to your devices. Now, these are the types of authentication. We have password-based authentication, pattern-based authentication. Yes, password-based authentication, pattern-based authentication, biometric authentication. Biometric authentication, token-based authentication, certificate-based authentication, and location-based authentication. We might have missed some authentication methods, but still, these are the ones I just want to mention to you and talk to you about. Firstly, the password-based authentication. We already know that, right? This is where you put on a username, then your password, right? The next is pattern, which some use on their phone, on their tabs, even on their systems. They use pattern based. For user, the user draw a specific pattern so that they will be able to unlock a device. Biometric is using any kind of biodata, but for this biometric, the biometric we know of, basically everyone knows of, is fingerprints, right? But you can also have eye pattern, not just eye pattern, but your DNA, even though it will take DNA or some sample of your body or your blood or any fluid sample. Token based authentication, this is what I'm talking about, either physical token or what, or software, or should I say a software based token, right? This is where you use things like Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator, right? Apart from that, that's the software. The physical based is all about using things like YubiKey tokens or dongles for security keys, cryptocurrency security keys. They are all types of token based authentication. Alright, certificate based authentication. This certificate based authentication involves when you're using digital certificates issued by a trusted authority, or CA, a certificate authority, for specific purposes. Like now, when you're using your browser, your computer, you don't know that there is a certificate authority that gives each website and each your website to a website to be recognized as a legitimate website. That's one of the authentication methods we have. HTTPS is, well, it's kind of a pseudo method, but using digital signatures and using digital certificates. Note, I mentioned digital certificates and digital signatures. They are both different themselves in their own ways. We now also have location based authentication. So if a user is in a specific location, the device will be switched on. Device will automatically switch on or automatically open it by itself without any kind of thing. As far as the device, okay, let's see a phone. Let's see a phone now. A phone that has a location based authentication method will be switched off when it's in Nigeria. Not when it's in Nigeria, when it is in Nigeria, everywhere in Nigeria, except when it enters let's say the DSS headquarters, or the NIA, Nigerian Intelligence Agency headquarters, or the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency headquarters, and Aso Rock. The moment it enters that compound, physical location compound, or shall I say the complex, right, in the Federal Capital Territory, what happens? The device will switch on and start working, while other devices will switch off and will not work again until he leaves, or she leaves, or they leave. This is a kind of location based authentication type. Now, these can be reliable. Location based authentication can be reliable and can be unreliable. Reason I'm saying this is because, okay, GPS, you might be using GPS, you might be using GLONASS, you might be using Beidou, BDS3, you might be using Galileo, but then all these devices, except you own them, they might switch it off for you. They might switch it off for you, except you have a satellite of your own. Let's say now India have their own satellites, so they might decide to use that because they rely on their satellite for military and sensitive work. China have BDS3. United States has GPS, Global Positioning System. Russia has GLONASS, though not sure whether it's still working. Some part of it is still working or not. Galileo is still available for European nations. So still, except these people allow you to use it specifically for security reasons, and still you still be having that kind of issue that okay, you don't trust them, like what the United States did to China between 1980s to 19, if I'm not wrong, 1991 1992, right? Not sure, but between 1980s to 1995, 1985 to 1995. My instinct is telling me it's between 1990 to 1994. Yeah. When United States blocked they blocked a ship from going to Iran, a Chinese ship going to Iran, claiming that it did not block the ship physically per se, but they stopped the GPS, they cut off the GPS connection. So without a GPS connection at that time, people could not use navigation on the surface of water. So they were like dead in the water. They had fuel, but they were dead in the water. There were some controversies, but still, yes, because of that issue, many countries in fact started developing their own satellite system, not rely on United States, who can just switch on and switch it off anyhow they like. Alright, now password security. How do you create strong passwords? Password is very important for you. Password should be at least 18 characters long, include a mix of uppercase, lowercase, letters, numbers, and special case. Alright, before we talk about password management, I'm going to talk briefly or extensively on how to create a strong password. Alright, first things first, you should list all the things you love. When I mean what you love, what people won't, well, let me just give you an example. Mr. PX, yeah, Mr. PX loves CBS, View. He loves some entertainment companies, he loves some manufacturing companies. He picks a thing he loves from them, not something major, but something that he loves personally. Okay, and he mixes it together plus books and so not that you pick exactly from the book, but you pick an admirable quality or a quality you don't like, or something, just something. You use that word, then maybe it's a rhyme, but still rhyme. Rhyme is dangerous, but still rhyme is long enough, maybe 80 words or something like that. You put some characters, modify it like that, but still, yes, I can create a long password. Just this is a sample password I created and I still keep using to teach. Kim Hee R plus Michael Bum, no, Kim Hee R, Michael Bonham, who again, yes, Lang. I think there were 3 people I meant, 3 characters I mentioned from different parts of the world, movies or series, and I used it. Then for the good of all, now I inserted some characters. I also mixed them in a way, and it reached, I think, 60 something, or is it 50? Yeah, 56 or so, with all the characters, with all the space. So that's a legitimate password. Though what you need to do is to make sure that the master password, is ringing in your head. The moment you wake up, you can still remember. That's what I've done for my own master password, though I do change it, or shall I say improve on it, so it will have a lengthy, very lengthy session or lengthy words. But it's also, I also make sure I follow those rules that I told you before. My keyboard is spread. everything is spread like that. So if you want to try it, your only choice is for brute forcing. And these days website account only allow you to do what, especially for sensitive applications like password managers. They only allow you to try for certain times before they lock the account, except you use your own multiple factor authentication account. So that person has to infect my phone first, or have to infect any of my devices first, and get that token, the tokens, and then start to reverse engineer the tokens. Start is just a long process. Still, you need to imagine it as a person that, okay, this is going to happen, this might happen, so you put stop gaps on the way. If my password manager is hacked, or my master password is known, what will I do? You put some stop gaps in a way that even your email will not be hacked. Even just some simple rules and regulation in which you can also put traps in which someone, oh, they will suffer. You are going to give them a run for their money before they even crack you. And as they are cracking, you know that there are multiple alerts that you will get. Someone is trying to access this, someone is trying to access. So you just block and block and block. You go back to your backup plan, right? And the backup of that, your backup plan. So you just change everything. So let him do whatever he wants. He'll just start over again. So it will be frustrating for that person or for that bot. All right, now using a password manager to I'll advise for you to use Bitwarden. Now LastPass is good. One password, right? Yeah, it's good, but well, I'm biased towards Bitwarden, so still use Bitwarden. It's a good password manager. It's free. The free version gives you much more things than other free versions will give you when it comes to password managers. Avoid reusing the passwords. That's already a said thing. You just need one password. You just need to know one password, right? Then you generate it using your password manager. Okay, good. Now for the practicals, we're going to go into practicals after that, but still the password managing is very important. Use passwords. Using password is very good for you. Using good strong password is very good. It might seem strange for someone to be telling you use this, forcing it to you, but still that's why there are security policies. If you have a strong password, you are already limiting at least 20%, at most 40% of the threats out there. This is just my guess, but it should be close. At least 20%, at most 40%, 60%, right? I'm just reaching, but still, it's even if it's 1%, it removes that certainty, okay, of you being hacked very easily. All right, that's good to know. All right, thank you. Let's move to our practicals. Today we are going to follow through some practicals which has well, yeah, we're going to use do user access management on Kali Linux. All right, my Linux is up, and drop this. Yeah, we up on this. Yes, the Kali Linux is up. So what we do right now is just to create. We're going to create a new user. And we're going to use it. Hope we're ready for this. Are we ready? Oh, good. Are we ready? All right, sudo add user student1. I'm going to use that, student1. It's asking for my password, of course, Kali. All right, it's adding. What's the new password for student1? Let's use just something simple. I don't want to forget. All right, let's use, okay, student1. All right, C, capital C, small letter A, small letter I, capital A, small letter, big letter Y, then space, what again? At 2 3 4 5 6 7 0, then equal to, no, that's not equal to, equal to, yes, equal to, right, that's what will be my password. So can I still remember? CIA Y space at 2 3 4 5 6 7 equal to password, no, so I have to try again, right? New password. Okay, before I type the new password, let's just create a new sorry, give me a moment. CD, no, yes, give me that CR, right? I want to know my password and write it here, since I'm trying to show touch. Mistake, touch. Please, Kali is very sensitive, Linux is very sensitive to your is very case sensitive, so note it. Okay, what we are creating is password, right? Password, right? We created password. Okay, good. Now let's open the password. I can open it from here, but still, yeah, now the password should be CIA Y what, okay, GHG, okay, let's use GHB, Great Britain, no, Great Britain pounds, yeah, GPB space equal to, sorry, plus let's use some middle case, and left, yow, right, equal to, let's use 1 2, and 5 6, including what, including 90, right? Now this is not a good password, yeah. I won't say it's not a good password, but still I cannot remember it offhand, so it's, yeah, save it as, yeah, I should save it as that, right? Yeah, sure, replace it, yeah, good. All right, now you paste your clipboard, yes, paste your clipboard, right? You paste your clipboard, you enter, you paste your clipboard. Whatever you do is not going to show here. All right, updated. What's the full name? Yeah, what's the full name? Okay, student 1 CIA Y, good. What's the room number? I'll skip this. What's the work phone number? I'll skip this. 991, okay, 991. What's the home number? 199. What's the other? 999. Okay, is information I have given correct? Yes, and it's adding. All right, good. I don't know whether someone should write this so that people will not forget. Let me take that on my other device. This password is quite long. It's quite long. Okay, let's get it. CIA GBP, Great Britain pounds, plus this can be modified into a good if you are someone from that world of mathematics or that world of accounting, you can make this to work for you. So it must be something familiar to you but something not familiar to others. As I said before, I think we made a mistake. Okay, no mistake. All right, 56 including 90. Okay, good. We are done here. Now I'm going to do switch user. I'm going to switch user. Before that, I'm going to show how to assign users to a group. Okay, sudo, not add user now, user mod. So user modification dash a g sudo. I'm giving them administrative privilege now. Sudo student1, right? I'm giving student1 administrative privilege, because if I don't give this student1 administrative privilege and I go to the other place, I try to do sudo su, it won't work at all. To tell me student1 is not part of the groups that have been given permission for this, right? Now I've given that permission. Okay, also you should note the rigs that you are giving student1. Okay, you should note. So now I'm going to do something. Sudo delete user del user, not user but user student1. So everything I copied, okay, is removing student1. You see, that's remove student1. All right, now you can also set the file permission, which we did a bit. We checked for the file permission some time ago, which is ls. Now this, I don't want to touch this. Okay, I'm going to go to cd home, not CIA now, but this desktop. Okay, now ls, I'm going to just look at ls. Okay, so we have apps here, we have CIAY. Note this is what this is not a directory, so it's not showing. This D here is directory, this R is read, this W is write, this X is execute. So I cannot execute this, but I can execute this. Same here, same here. So there are three formats. Okay, yes, for the owner, for the group, and for others. So others can only read this file, this apps file here, while they cannot do what? They cannot write, they cannot execute. Now the group, anyone that is in my group can do what? Can read and write, but they cannot execute. Anyone who is in me right now, I can read and write, but I cannot execute too, and it's not a directory, so it shows here too. Now this is also Kali. This is the owner and group and user. Now let me grant I'm going to grant a file to read, write, and execute permission for an owner, right? So chmod is to change modification. 700 apps, right? Okay, let's do lsl. Wow, what do you see here? It cleared everything. So this does what? It changes the modification. No one will be able to modify it except me, myself. Okay, now I want to do chmod 6464. These are codes. 64 for file name apps. Right, let's still do LSL. Now we're back to it. Right, now to change the ownership, so we don't have, okay, I'm going to do sudo user add sudo add user, pardon me, add user. User add is still there, but you might have some issues. So user add student 1, I've added it, password, so test, or let's just do 1, right? 1 good, 1 good. Just enter. Yes, good, it has added. Right, now to change the user, sudo what, chown, right? Change ownership of what, to change ownership to student 1 of what file, of the app that we are on here, apps, right? That change the ownership. Do you see the change here? It's locked, so me here, I'm Kali, but I'm not allowed to change, and I'm not the owner. So I can still do LSL, and you can see it's for student, right? But we're still in the same group, which is Kali, so I can mess with it a bit, but still I'm not on, it's not under my ownership right now. Okay, now I want you folks, if you have this application, if you have a Kali Linux VirtualBox or Kali Linux running on a normal machine as a normal operating system, I want you to do this now. Touch my file, yeah, my file.txt. no, let's just say first. No, we have first, so we are going to just say 007, right, .txt. okay, good. Now chmod 600 007.txt. Here we are doing what, I'm asking you now to change the ownership of the file. ls, you can do lsl or just do ll, still the same. So you see, we have changed the ownership of 007. We have changed the modification for 007. If you want to bring it back, what do? I'll advise you to do that. Okay, I think our time is running out. Yes, our time is running out, but still we'll continue as a bit immersed into this practical. Now we're also going to change the password policies here. Clear? We're going to change the password policies first. We're going to do sudo nano. Nano is just like, yeah, it's an application for text editing, just like what you saw. There's nano, there's vim, there are others, but I prefer nano. Let's see, dash, not the app sources.list, but dash pam, which is permission. No, pam dash dot d dash common. Okay, common dash passwords, right? Password. Okay, as you can see, this file is there already. So what we are going to go to is to set the password requirements, such as minimum length, right? So you can set minimum length here. You can also, implement multiple factor authentication, though it's a bit advanced for your level. Minimum length, here are the package modules, primary block, of course. here's the blackout if fallback if no module succeeds. This dash 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 dash, yes, of course. Then please notice I'm going to leave this place, which is Control X. Control O is to save, while Control X is to leave. Now we're going to modify, we're going to deal with access control list here. We still have a bit of time. Access control list. So what we're going to do is to set first, set, sorry, apologies, set FACL -M. These days, well, yeah, these days Kali has been progressing very well, because now you can have color coding. Before there was no color coding. Set facial, now you can say, okay, yes, it's a valid command. -M is a valid option. Student 1. Now I'm going to column R, and then what? 007.txt. Okay, now you have you have made a bit of, you can make, this is just me trying to create an access list name. So this 007.txt can be accessed by what? Can be accessed by who? By the student 1. All right, now let's clear this. Let's remove 007.txt. Let's see whether it will work. It removed. Now change ownership of let's go to sudo change ownership of student, sorry, the apps. I want to go back, take it back to Kali. I'll tell you this, when you use this place here, when you use Kali, it's just practice makes perfect. Please, practice makes perfect. I can't say to be perfect in Kali, but I would definitely say I'm not perfect in Kali, but I'd say that I'm progressing. I'm still a student in Kali. All right, thank you for listening. Now a question for you, please put it on the comment box. We still have time before the next tutorial comes up. All right, how will you apply the principle of least privilege in your own device or account or online account? That's one. How will you, if imagine you're in an intelligence / military or security background, or you're working there in a security setting, how will you put that how will you make the privilege access, how do you make the access control for that specific organization? All right, thank you. Next we are going to look at network security. I'm going to introduce you to the basics of virtual private networks, and we're going to secure communication protocols. All right, thank you. Goodbye and peace out.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Anyatoyibo, and I'm glad to be on this platform to speak to us. I'm a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University, where I studied microbiology. I'm an advocate of SDG 3 and 4, particularly good reproductive health and quality sexuality education. I want to appreciate the organizer of this program, Instrad Pathways Youth Foundation, for this privilege to speak to this noble mind. Thank you so much. And our topic of discourse for today is ensuring universal access to clean water and sanitation. Are we on track? As simple as this topic might seem, it's a very and highly important one in the society of today. Before we dive into the topic, I want us to consider a scenario I tagged the student's dilemma. Imagine you're in the middle of a crucial examination and nature calls. but the toilet is clogged and the water is dirty. What do you do? Do you leave the exam in search of another toilet and risk failing the test? Or do you audit in and risk a health disaster? This is actually to show us the importance of water, clean water, and sanitation in our society today. Look at the lady on the screen. She was so scared. So this to show to us that clean water and sanitation is really important. We are going to discuss the topic under this outline: understanding clean water and sanitation, current state of accessibility of clean water and sanitation, how to ensure future access, Nigeria's journey to save water and sanitation for all, call to action, and finally the conclusion. Understanding clean water and sanitation. Accessible clean water, sanitation, and hygiene are not just crucial to human health, but they are key to our very existence. Before we understand something, we have to rightly clarify what that thing is. And that is leading us to the question, what is clean water? Clean water is safe and drinkable water that is free from contaminants, otherwise known as potable water. You will see in this place, I didn't say clean water is transparent water or odorless water. Clean water is more than that. And clean water has to meet certain standards, like physical characteristics, like it must be clear, it must be odorless, it must be tasteless. It must be free from harmful bacteria, viruses, and parasites, like you can see on the screen. Clean and accessible water is pivotal part of living, and there is sufficient amount of fresh water on the planet to achieve this. In God's wisdom, at creation, He has placed us in sufficient amount of fresh water on the planet to achieve this our need for clean and accessible water. Let's move to sanitation. What is sanitation? Sanitation is the provision of facilities and services for the safe management of solid, human, and animal waste. There are several facilities to enhance this and to achieve this. We have the latrine for the management of human excreta, we have the toilet, and we have the incinerator for the management of solid waste and others. And these our sanitation facilities, they must be physically accessible to everyone. They must be positioned in a place where everyone can easily get to. They must be affordable. Yes, it's something we can all afford. They must be safe and secure. They must be well maintained, like the other lady that was scared in that student dilemma screen. Accessible sanitation facilities must be well maintained. It must be equitable. That is something that is open to everyone. It must be inclusive. Something that is open to everyone. We can have the male section of the toilet, we can have the female section, but it should be something that is open to everyone and inclusive. Importance of clean water and sanitation. The importance of clean water and sanitation cannot be overstated, but their significance is fully appreciated when they are accessible to all. We can only appreciate the significance of this clean water and sanitation when they are accessible to every one of us. You know, there's a saying that over familiarity breeds contempt. Because we are too familiar with water, we don't know, we don't rightly place its importance. But when we understand its importance, that's where we can start any meaningful thing about accessing it. The benefits of clean water and sanitation include improved health and hygiene, increased economic productivity, enhanced food security, reduced child mortality, empowerment of girls and women and girls, protection of the environment, support for education and economic development. Because of my audience, let me dwell much on this point 7. Support for education and economic development. Imagine you are coming from an unkempt home. Imagine you are drinking unsafe water, you are drinking dirty water. You won't be mentally fit for education. You won't be mentally fit to receive and learn because such a person will be sick. So clean water and sanitation gives us a strong support for education and economic development. There are some challenges of not having access to clean water and sanitation. We have the health challenge, and that is well known to everyone. Anyone that is in an unkempt environment and drinking unclean water is prone to waterborne diseases like cholera, diarrhea, typhoid. We can also see the recent cholera outbreak in Lagos. And what's the cause? Lack of access to clean water and sanitation. We have economic challenges. We have reduced productivity and increased healthcare costs. We have social challenges. We have increased vulnerability and exploitation of women and girls. Because of lack of access to clean water and sanitation, many of our women, many of our guests, they could not properly take care of their they could not properly take care of themselves during menstruation. Their menstrual health is derailing, and that leads to their vulnerability. They are vulnerable to several diseases because of that. We have the environmental challenges, water pollution and contamination. We have the educational challenges, like I said, in the importance. There will be reduced school attendance and performance if you are sick as a result of taking dirty water and living in an unkempt environment. Then, what is the current state of things? What is the current state of accessibility of clean water and sanitation? The current state of accessibility of sanitation and clean water is a pressing global issue, with billions of people lacking access to safely managed drinking water and sanitation services. In 2019, 80 million people had no access to improved sanitation facilities in Nigeria. You'll be surprised to hear this, but sincerely, those statistics, they are true. Many people, they lack access to improved sanitation facilities. And you can bear with me, you can bear this witness in your environment, in your school, in your community. How many of you in your school, how many of you do you have well situated incinerator where your solid waste are being burned? You just see all this refuse lying up and down, causing nuisance on the ground. Inadequate access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene services causes millions of deaths each year, with diarrhea diseases being a leading cause of death among children under the age of 5. When you get to hospitals now, when you check the leading cause of death among children, you will see they are as a result of pathogens that are being caused, that are being transferred, that are as a result of diseases emanating from dirty and unclean environments. Barriers to accessibility of clean water and sanitation. There are several barriers why we are unable to access clean water and sanitation. And the first barrier is access issue. The first one is access issue, and that will be considering the infrastructure. Many of our communities, many of our society, they lack the infrastructure to bring out water from the ground to the surface, or sometimes even to bring water from river to purify it and make it fit for consumption. Another one is economic factors. Many cannot bear the costs that are associated with building and maintaining water and sanitation systems. We also have environmental factors that gives us that debar us from accessing clean water and sanitation. We have climate change, we have pollution, we have social and political factors. There are disparities in access between different communities and regions. Many people, because of politics, the game, and so on. Okay, this community will not give them this because they don't vote for us. It's only this community will give borehole to because they voted for us in the last election. Things should not be like that. And all these things are barring our access to clean water and sanitation. We've heard about the challenges, we've heard about the importance, we've heard about the barriers. Then how can we ensure future access? Because that is the cruise of our topic today. That's the cruise of our discussion today. How can we ensure future access? How can I do my part to ensure future access? How can you do your part as students to ensure future access to clean water? By implementing some of the strategies I've put here on the screen, you can see it on the screen, we can ensure universal access to clean water and sanitation to support human health, not only human health, to support economic development, not only economic development, but environmental sustainability. What can we do? We can upgrade and maintain water treatment plants, pipes, and sanitation systems. We can safeguard water sources from pollution and contamination. Thank God some communities are already doing this. They are putting guards in place to stop people from dumping refuse, from dumping things into their water bodies. We also have some sustainable solutions in terms of technology, innovative technologies for water purification and efficient sanitation. We have policy and advocacy. Governments are putting down supportive policies and regulations to ensure this. We have the WASH program, we have the NAP program in Nigeria, and there are also global efforts, international initiatives and partnerships by organizations like UNICEF, WHO, and the rest. All of them are coming on board to do this. And one of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 6, is actually canvassing for this clean water and sanitation. And the goal, the target of the goal is by 2030, everyone will have universal access to this. And another thing we can do to ensure universal access and future access, not only universal in your environment, in my environment, how can we ensure future access is by youth engagement. You as a youth, I as a youth, we should come on board, we should get involved, we should advocate for this change. Educational programs, you can just gather your friends, you can gather your classmates, all of you can do something as regards this. What's Nigeria's journey to save water and sanitation for all? What are the steps we are taking in this country to access that? The Nigerian government has taken several steps to improve access to clean water and sanitation. We have the National Water Resources Policy 2016. This one outlines strategies for sustainable water management. We have the National Water and Sanitation Policy 2019. This focuses on increasing access to safe water and sanitation. And yes, this was put in place during the regime of our former President Muhammadu Buhari. He implemented a national action plan which focuses on ways on increasing access to free water and sanitation. There's also the Pair Wash, there is National Urban Water Sector Reform Projects, there is WASH. WASH has become an household thing. This is water, sanitation, and hygiene. This is actually an emergency response plan to address water and sanitation needs. There are a lot of initiative and policy put on ground, and this is currently what Nigeria is navigating, what Nigeria is building on in ensuring universal access to water, clean water, and sanitation. We also have collaboration with international organizations. Nigeria is collaborating with organizations like UNICEF. You always hear it on the news, World Bank and USA, to support water and sanitation initiative. Yes, Nigeria has done a lot, but there's still more to be done, because this thing is not just one man thing. It's a thing for every one of us, because we've seen the importance of water, clean water, and sanitation. It's just like the bedrock. It's just like a root in which we can trace. If it's not rightly put in place, we can trace every other challenges in the community. We can trace it to it. Then what can we do? We've seen the Nigerian government's efforts to ensuring that there is accessibility of clean water and sanitation in Nigeria. Then call to action. What are you going to do? What am I going to do to ensure that we are corroborating what Nigeria is doing? While progress has been made, more work is needed to achieve universal access to clean water and sanitation in Nigeria. And the first thing is, every one of us must take personal action. There's this saying that says, change begin with me. And there's also this saying that says, if you want to go far, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go in group. And because to ensure this clean water and sanitation, we want to go further. We are not going alone. We are going in groups. Individuals should come together, take simple steps to conserve water and promote sanitation. You are hearing this. You should not be the one that in your hostel you are wasting water. You should not be the one that in your hostel you are polluting the water source. You are creating a kind of uncleanliness around your water source. You should not be the one. Everyone should take this personal action. Everyone should take this personal initiative to ensure that there is clean water and there is clean sanitation in our environment. We also have community involvement. Students should participate in local or global initiatives. Like I said, international organizations like WHO, UNICEF, they have a lot of initiatives and they are looking for partners. You can just go to the website. You can, I think one ended August 31st. There was one initiative, there was one partnership that ended that time. You can go search for more. You can write to them. I'm from this so community. They give preference to people from our communities, to people from this part of the world. I'm from so community, and I've noticed the challenge of my people. They lack access to clean water and sanitation. And I think this and this and this and this and this can be done to open the access to clean water and sanitation. Once you give a reasonable proposal and once you give reasonable things you want to do, they will support you, they will fund you. So there must be community involvement. Look at your neighbor, look at this person, look at the person sitting next to you as you are listening to this. You can form something, you can start an initiative, you can call it Operation Make the Campus Clean, Operation Keep You High Clean, Operation Keep Uni Osun Clean. Then at every weekend you come together, it's going to be like a club. You come together, you discuss on how to do it, you take steps, you take practical steps. You go about the hostels. Maybe you are okay, you are going to stay 8 to this week, you clean it, you set a standard, you tell them, okay, this is how we want to, this is what we want, this is how the hostel should be if you are going to maintain good hygiene. Then you are just, we just have to be involved. All ends should be on deck. And also advocacy, students should support policies and organizations working towards universal access. You've seen what Nigerian government is doing about it. Support the government. Support policies, support organizations, work with them, volunteer with them. This is the age of volunteering. Volunteer with international bodies. You might be thinking, oh, how will I know this? How will I access this? That's where we have the internet. All this information are accessible on the internet. Go there, browse it, and just, okay, how can I come on board? And if you're unable to get any international organization to volunteer with or anything, you can start something. Network with your group of friends. Start something. Give it a name. Give it a compelling name. A call, like a name in which people will hear and they know that, oh, these people they are serious with this thing and they are ready for action. Okay, Operation Make the Campus Clean. Operation. You can even do maybe a certain number of days campaign on sanitation. Post it on your social media. By that, you're also doing your part to ensure future access to clean water and sanitation. Then concluding this discussion on how to ensure future access to clean water and sanitation, we can only flush away poverty and disease with clean water and sanitation. The poverty ravaging our community, the disease everywhere, cholera outbreak in Lagos, every this and that, we can only flush it away with clean water and sanitation. And if this clean water and sanitation is not accessible, then how can we do it? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. That's why I have to do my part. That's why you have to do your part. And this thing is very simple. Start little, start small. Why are we on track? This is not just only for the government. It's for every one of us. Start little, start small. Form a group of people, reach out to your hostel management, reach out to your school management, reach out to your class teacher, reach out to your principal and tell them, this is what I want to do. This is the initiative I have in mind to make this our secondary school, to make it clean. So it starts with us. Change begins with us. And for additional reading, you can go to WHO and UNICEF websites and other public health establishments websites to read up. You read up about various initiatives they put in place, like WASH. WASH is now the household thing. Water, sanitation, and hygiene. The three are they work together. If you don't have clean water, if you lack access to water, there's no how you can maintain a very hygienic environment, and there's no how you can even maintain personal hygiene. So if you have question on this, if something is already spurring in you an initiative and any other thing, and you need help, you need clarification, you need guidance, you can reach out to me at anyodoing06@gmail.com. I will be so glad to discuss with you, answer your questions, clarify your doubts and everything. And I want to thank you for paying attention for those few minutes to listen to this discussion, this important and insightful discussion, a topic rather. Thank you so much. And I also want to appreciate the organizer, Stride Pathway, for giving me this privilege. Thank you so much.
Good day, everybody. I am so happy. I'm delighted to be giving this lecture at this particular time. To start with, I would like to refer to the late Chinua Achebe, may his perfect soul rest in perfect peace. Chinua Achebe, in one of his rapid selling novels published in 1958, titled Things Fall Apart, said that he will respect the great, pave way for his own greatness. This will make me to appreciate the organizers of this particular great initiative. Thank you for giving me the privilege to give this particular lecture. I'm not taking this privilege for granted. Thank you and God bless you. Without wasting our time, let us jump right into the lecture. Today, we are going to be discussing unleashing the potential of African youth, climate action and waste management for a sustainable future. A welcome to all. I welcome you once again to this particular lecture. My name is Oyinamina Bankole Ayomide. I am the founder and team lead at Waste to Heart Nigeria, a non-profit NGO, non-governmental organization in Nigeria dedicated to reducing environmental pollution and fostering creativity in young minds. Waste to Heart Nigeria is a fusion of two words that look divergent: waste and art. Waste is something that we do not want, something that we abandon, something that seems useless, while art is something beautiful, something we cherish. So what is the relationship between waste and art? For us at Waste to Art, we believe that there are great connection and relationship between waste and art. We train young minds on how to do art in a different way, on how to transform what people consider as waste. For us at Waste to Art, there is nothing like waste. Waste is just an illusion in the mind of the uncreative. We all are creative, am I right? Yes, we are. We believe that there are creativity inherent in young minds. So we go to schools, teach organizations, teach people on how to turn trash, everyday waste into beautiful artwork, into beautiful masterpiece. I'm also a forward-looking first-class philosophy graduate with a passion for driving positive change through sustainable development initiatives. I finished with a first class at Ekiti State University, Ado Ekiti, Ekiti State. I was also the president of the NYC SDGs CDS group in Imo State, where I organized and facilitated workshops and awareness campaigns to educate members on sustainability principles and practices. The overview of our presentation. In this presentation, we are going to be looking at three outlines. One, we're going to be discussing suicide. That is when we are talking about climate action. Then how not to kill ourselves, waste management, and conclusion will be unleashing your inner potential. On suicide, why will anyone want to start this topic with the concept of suicide? Is there any relationship between suicide and climate action? These are the probable fundamental questions that a keen mind will be raising. I believe that there is a relationship between suicide and climate action. And I would like to pitch my tent with the Franco-Algerian philosopher and writer Albert Camus, who wrote in his popular novel The Myth of Sisyphus that there is only one really serious problem, and that is suicide. He believed that any discourse that is philosophical, that is rational and reasonable, to start with the concept of suicide. So why should we raise this question of suicide? Why should we discuss suicide? Why is suicide important? I know we don't want to hear the word suicide. I hate it too. Killing oneself. It's not even acceptable in the law. Don't mention euthanasia here. It's not acceptable when it comes to law in Nigeria. So how can we relate suicide with the concept of climate change? Consider this data. Suicide rates in Africa. 6 of the 10 countries with the highest rate of suicide are located in Africa. Imagine, Lesotho is topping the table. Lesotho is at the apogee of suicide rates in world record. Around 11 people per 100,000 per year die by suicide in the Africa region, higher than the global average of 9 per 100,000 people. According to the World Health Organization, 87.5 people per 100,000 of the population take their own life every year in Lesotho. This data is from the World Health Organization. This is a renewable organization, and these facts and data are true. But what if I tell you that they are false? You might want to question me. How can a data be true and false together? Even a disjunctive statement cannot be true and false together. It can either be true or false. I'm not trying to question this data because I know this data is true. But why did I say that it is false? I'm saying this because there are various ways of committing suicide that this data did not use as a yardstick to get at this particular number. We have many subtle ways of killing ourselves. You can kill. Okay, let me stop. I don't want to be mentioning ways of killing oneself, like using of gun, poison, and the likes. No, let me stop there so that you will not call police to come and arrest me. That is on the latter mode. I'm saying that every day we are killing ourselves. Yes, and that is true. Climate change, global warming. Human being, we believe that we are wise, and truly we are wise. We are rational animal. We are higher animal. We are Homo sapien. We believe that we are anthropocentric. That is, everything revolves around men. We are also egocentric in nature. That is true. So we don't want to hear anything about ecocentric. We don't want to hear the fact that everything revolves around the ecosystem, around nature. I once wrote a quote. I said that don't beg humans not to commit suicide. If they cannot pay rapt attention to Mother Earth's vital signs and make her recuperate, then let them kill themselves. This is a radical and funny quote, right? Yes, it is true. I see the time for action has come. This presentation is to stir up action in us. I'm not here to give us data and to tell us history of global warming. We are familiar with this discourse. We are familiar with the discourse of global warming. I'm here to stir us up to make reasonable actions. We are killing ourselves. We are committing suicide when we fail to pay attention to our health. We have a lot of problems that civilization is causing. I once said that innovation must give back to itself. For every innovation must birth innovation. For every innovation, there will be a particular problem that innovation will cause. This problem should not be a problem. That is not tautology. I'm saying that this problem should give back to another solution. So we have every opportunity to thrive as a youth. As a youth, you must be able to convert every problem into a solution. We have various ways of killing ourselves. Now let us look at the killer machines. 1. Climate caused natural catastrophes are taking their toll on both our mental and physical health. Climate change is both affecting our mental health and physical health. Now we have what we call greenhouse gas emission, CO2 every day, from industries, from burning of coal, gases, from our vehicles, and all sort of smokes that we are producing every day. It is affecting our world, and in the same vein, it is affecting us. Now, climate change is expected to cause approximately 250,000 additional deaths per year because of 1, undernutrition. The soil is being affected every day by toxic waste, toxic materials from industries. We call those kind of waste hazardous waste, and it's reducing the number of agricultural production, and this can lead to undernutrition. We have overpopulation too. We have higher number of people feeding unlimited agricultural produce. Then we have malaria. A lot of waste is giving mosquitoes avenue to breed, and this has led to increment in malaria. We have diarrhea, and heat stress alone says the World Health Organization. A recent World Economic Forum report quantifying the impact of climate change on human health finds that by 2050, it will cause 14.5 million deaths and over 2 billion healthy life years lost. Come to think about it, in the olden days, people live longer than we do now. What is a likely change? What change? What is the cause of this high death rate that we are now having now? We know that we have advanced from the Neolithic age, Stone Age. Now we are now in the civilized area. I'm not saying that we should become stop. I'm not saying that we should stop being creative. I'm not saying that we should not innovate. This is not the call for us to stop industries from working. This is not the call for us to stop manufacturers from producing food, from producing products that will help better our life. But I'm saying that for every problem that innovation is causing, there must be another solution. Innovation must give birth to itself. Listen to this video.
Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale, our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people have spoken. Their message is clear. Time is running out.
The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere now is 50% higher than it was in 1900. And not only are we piling in more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but we are chopping down the forests of the earth at a great rate. And the forests themselves are the most efficient consumers of carbon dioxide that there are on Earth. We're going to destroy the ground because the soil of a rainforest isn't very good. We are actually tampering with the climate of the Earth and with the very atmosphere that we breathe. When we talk about the disappearance of the ozone layer, we don't know what will happen when the ozone layer goes. The world has become so fragile that we cannot subject the Earth to the tortures we can now inflict upon it. When we talk about the greenhouse effect, we're talking about something that affects the entire Earth. And these problems are life and death problems. They go to the root of the viability of the planet itself. If there's one thing that is biologically certain about the human species is that it is a human species, one species.
If we don't stop the destruction of our natural world, nothing else will matter. Simply put, if we don't protect nature, we can't protect ourselves.
The only way we can solve a problem is by a human solution. Never can we sit back and wait for miracles to save us. Miracles don't happen. Sweat happens. Efforts happens. Thought happens.
Miracle will not happen. It is idea that will happen. It is sweat that will happen. It is action that will happen. How not to kill ourselves. Humans modify our environment like every other species. We just do it more successfully and on a grander scale than most of other species. Human being by nature, we are meant to be creative. We are meant to be innovative. So to deny us of this particular innate nature is to stop being human. So I'm not asking us to stop innovation. I'm saying that for each innovation, there is a problem, and this problem must be an avenue for us to thrive as youth. You must be able to find every problem in your surrounding and turn them into words, turn them into ideology, turn them into ideas that will change the world. Miracles will not happen. You are the miracle. To stop us, to limit us, is to limit human life. We are not animals. We are not structured like a robot. No, we can do this. We are the miracle. Humanity's well-being is derived from the well-being of the earth. I want you to understand that we are not apart from nature. We are a part of nature. If nature thrive, we will survive. Nature is here before us. In the account of the scriptures, God created nature before us. And let me tell you, if we are no longer here, nature will thrive. Let me give you an instance. If every life, I mean human life, ceases on this earth, earth will thrive. Trees will start growing in our buildings. We have increments in butterflies. We are going to have a lot of animals growing. Nobody will be there to kill them. The grass too will be growing. So without us, nature will thrive. With us abusing the use of nature, nature will not survive. And if nature will not survive, we too will not survive. I'm saying that when we fail to care for nature, we are killing ourselves. We are committing suicide. It is time for you to take action. It is time for you to start converting waste into another kind of innovation, another kind of material. Embrace recycling. Embrace upcycling. Instead of creating another raw material, why can't you think of turning the existing raw material into another kind of product? This will reduce greenhouse gas emission. Think about it. I would not like to give you many things to do. I would not like to tell you that do this or do that. I want you to think. You can think. I'm saying that innate in you is that particular idea that you must give back to. We are not expecting any miracle. You all are the miracles we are expecting. At Waste to Heart, we go to schools to train students on how to convert everyday waste into beautiful artworks. This particular frame was done with carton. We organize training sections and seminars at schools in order to encourage students to think creativity. I love to relate with students. Let me tell you, embedded in students are ideas. The world is waiting for them. The world is also waiting for you. Listen to this.
Climate change. It's real. It's serious. And it's up to us to solve it. In the last 2 decades, we've experienced 14 of the hottest 15 years on record. By 2050, drought and chronic water shortages could impact 1 billion people, while millions more will be at risk from coastal flooding. It can seem overwhelming, but there's reason for hope. If we embrace solar and wind power to their full potential, we can cut the world's yearly carbon emissions by 1/3. Already, Germany generates 27% of its electricity from renewables, with a goal of 80% by 2050. Denmark has shown it can produce more wind energy than it can use, and England is building the world's biggest offshore wind farm. Communities large and small are taking steps. A new public building in Mexico City has an exterior that breaks down air pollutants, erasing the effects of 1,000 cars each day. Paris installed street tiles that harvest energy from foot traffic. Other cities are paving streets with smog-eating concrete and sidewalks with recycled materials. Individuals can make a difference too, through the choices we make every day. If every American driver drove 10 miles less each week, it could eliminate more than 100 billion pounds of carbon from the air each year. New innovations are making important strides possible, and more are on the way, but we can't wait. Reimagine.
More are on the way and we cannot wait. We don't have much time. You need to arise now and start doing something. Africa, rise. We are creative human beings. We are not inferior. Other people in the world, they are doing great and mighty things. I'm not saying that we are not doing anything. Africa is striving. We are doing great. But we can do much more. Have hope in you. You are the miracle we are expecting. Unleash your inner potential. The future of Africa and the entire world is in your hands. What will you start today to change the world? Thank you for your time.